Hi everybody, it's me, Beth Maitland, and you're at Drama Queen Bee Quilt Studio. And California's on fire, and as you can tell, I've been down a little bit with, I got some smoke issues that turned into an infection, but I'm back on my feet, and I am back in the studio trying to finish up these holiday projects. I promised you some videos on edge-to-edge quilting, and I'm here today to honor that promise with one more of my very favorite edge-to-edge quilt designs. I hope you'll enjoy the quilting, and I hope that you'll be able to use this on some of your holiday projects or projects for you in the new year. Here is one of my favorite designs. Okay, we're going to review quickly before we start. Pulling up the bobbin thread. My needle's down, then it's up again. I move it slightly, and I pull the bobbin thread up from the backing. Take a few tacking stitches, and now we can take off. We start with a meander with a loop, a wiggle sort of meander line with more loops, and then one big circle with a bubble in it. So meander with loops, moving sort of concurrently around the space, and every once in a while throwing in a big circle with a bubble in it. So we're doing like a circle meander with a loop, and then a big circle with a bubble in it. So I call this bubble meander. Couldn't think of anything closer, and that's a great way to describe the large circle with the bubble in it, almost like an eyeball, I guess, but that's a little creepy and Halloweenish, and it's Christmas after all. So a big circle with a bubble in it, and moving on to meander around the space, trying to fill in as you go. Make sure you don't have to go back and repeat. Fill all the space in before you leave the area with little meanders, and then loops, and then a large circle with a bubble in it. And you can see that it works great for a batik quilt, this design. It's kind of modern, it's definitely unisex, it's not feminine, it's not whimsical, it can be masculine or modern, but it's great with this batik because as you can see in some of the prints of the batik, there's little circles already in it. So our loopy, round circle design was a really, really good complement to some of these great batik fabrics with circles in them. Okay, so we're meandering around, we're filling the space as we go, we're making sure to fill up the space so we don't have to return to it and perhaps even put the needle in and tie off in a section that we missed. And I'm moving kind of systematically. I'm going from the bottom to the top of the work area before I move on from left or right. And it's a loop and a meander, wiggling conveniently around the space, filling everything up consistently, trying to keep all of your stitching lines at sort of an equidistant length from each other so that the whole area is consistent. Later on when we wash this and there's a little bit of shrinkage, then it's going to pucker up a little bit and look very vintagey and crisp and crinkly. And so what's going to happen then is you're really only going to see the texture. And so that's when it's imperative that all of these lines of stitching are fairly even and the same distance from each other to make that all work beautifully and look like a very, very professional quilt. So loops, filling in that little spot before I leave it, meandering, a loop, and then working my way back, surrounding the original circle. You don't want to have too many large circles with bubbles in them close to each other. You want to try to surround those with the meandering so that there's not a whole bunch of a similar design all in a row. And we're just working away smoothly across the quilt. In this particular case, I used a medium gray thread on the top and the bottom. The color really blended well with all of the variations in these batiks. I've got greens and blues, but I also had a little bit of sky blue, a little bit of aqua, and this gray color worked really, really well for blending in and enhancing the variations without being too bold or something that really stood out when I wanted really just a lot of texture and a really even, lovely fill design. I used a light gray, sort of an off charcoal backing fabric. So the gray thread on the backing goes really well with that too. And when I get to the end of the quilting, I will bind this in more of the backing fabric in a pale gray binding. So that will sort of tie in the gray thread, the grays that pick up in the backs of these batiks, and it will make it great when you turn it over. This quilt could then be used with either the backing fabric or the batik as the top of the quilt. Look at that yummy texture. Perfect for a little boy's batik quilt, and I hope my nephew's going to really love it. And this has been another tutorial from Beth Maitland at Drama Queen Bee Quilt Studio. I hope you found something today that you could use, that you would enjoy, and that you can translate to your domestic machine. And I want to wish you a very happy holidays and a wonderful new year full of loads of quilt projects and many, many blessings. Thank you for supporting me here at Drama Queen Bee Quilts.